All right, what's going on, people? Dirty Dinners. We're going live tonight with Nick Lalanne. We're just getting all set up here. Let's see. We're just waiting for Nick to get on, and then we'll add him to the video, and then we're going to share this thing to Pismo Dune Riders and a couple other groups. Let's see. All right, Nick, if you're in here, leave a comment so I can add you. Let's see. Hope everyone's had a good Monday. Like I said, tonight we're going live with Nick Lalanne. I hope I'm saying his last name right. Nick is part of the Pismo Dune Riders page. What's going on, Ryan Myers? We're going to add this to the Pismo Dude. There we go. All right, Nick, I'm trying. Hold on one second. Bring in Nick. Camera. What's going on, Harvey Janice? Glamis Fab Crew. What's up, buddy?
How's it going?
How are you?
All right. Yourself?
Doing well. We have Nick on. Nick, how do you say your last name, Nick?
It's pronounced Lalanne.
Lalanne.
But most people, Lalanne. I mean, it doesn't offend me when people butcher it. It's just, I get it. It's a tricky one.
Yeah. I've had a few people where I had a sponsor for the show, and he's my sponsor for like 6 months, and I was saying his last name wrong the whole time. So
yeah.
I added it to Pismo Dune Riders. I added it to the Glamis page. Any other pages that I might be a part of that you would like it added to?
No, I think that's good for now. We can always share it afterwards.
Okay. Yeah, and this is something you could share too.
Yeah.
So me and Nick, really quick, don't really know each other that well, which is kind of fun. I kind of did it on purpose because we talked on the phone a few weeks ago, and he actually said he was kind of pissed off at me at first because I was posting stuff on his page.
Pissed off wouldn't be the right word, but yeah, it's just one of those things, somebody's promoting stuff on your page. But actually, one of the members, I think, is who actually reached out to you and got us in contact with each other, which I think was really cool. It shows the base that the group has with 20,000 members, that the people care enough to get me and you in contact with each other to let the issue that we're going through here be known.
Absolutely. And let's get right into it. So you run the Pismo Dune Riders Facebook page. You're one of the owners of that page. It's got 20,000 members now. I don't even know what the number is on it.
Yeah, we're just short of 20,000. It's 19.8 or something like that. It's up there. We average probably 16 to 17,000 active members in any given month. So
Wow.
That's people that are actively commenting, liking, sharing something off the page. So it's a very active page compared to other pages that I've worked with. It's a lot higher percentage of people that are active kind of on a week-to-week basis.
Yeah. Jordan Lewis said 20,030 today.
Oh, wow. So I missed that 20,000 mark. I should have posted something and shared it. It slipped by me.
But like the fact that you have 16,000, 17,000 active members is awesome. And that's one of the biggest reasons I wanted to get you on the show and also do this for you. So we can kind of let people know what's going on. Pismo Dunes, Oceano Dunes. What do you want me to call it throughout this whole thing? Either or?
Either or. It doesn't really matter. It's for those that don't know, originally the area was called Pismo Dunes. Back in the 70s, everything you find, it's Pismo Dunes. As the area kind of evolved and changed, the beach area is now known as Pismo Beach. The dunes themselves are known as the Oceano Dunes. So that's kind of the separation between the two. If you're just going to go hang out on the beach and go surfing, then you're going to go to Pismo Beach. But nowadays, if you're going back into the dunes, you're going to Oceano Dunes. But people that go there, they pretty much still all refer to it as Pismo for the most part.
Now, how long have you been going out there?
So the first trip I ever had, I was 14 years old. So compared to a lot of off-roaders, kind of a little bit of a late bloomer. A lot of people grew up doing that type of stuff. The first trip I had, I just got in a 350X. My brother went out there a lot, and we went out and camped with the Santa Barbara Four-Wheel Drive Club. And they camp back in the dunes, not on the beach. And it was just like, you ever have those moments in your life where you're just like hooked to something? I remember driving there, and I'm asking my brother, I'm like, is it like a sandbox where you can dig down and get to dirt at the bottom? And he's like, no, the sand just like goes forever. And like, this is such a foreign concept to somebody that's never been, I don't think I'd ever even been to the beach before that. So it was interesting. Just kind of got hooked after that. Living in the valley, you that's kind of your place to go. I rode dirt bikes in the desert Cal City area, and then I went to the beach. I got the three-wheeler and kind of got away from the dirt bikes for a bit. And I got to the point there for a while where I was coming to the beach every day I had off work for a good couple months. And then one day I met my now wife, and we started dating, and I quit my job and moved over here. So now I live literally a mile away from the beach, from the ramp. And it's a whole different aspect going there and vacationing. Even when you come as much as I did, which was, 3-4 times a month there for a while. It's living here and what you see and kind of the way the town is so different than just vacationing, I guess would be the right way to put it. Especially when I first started, and you're going 3, 4, 5 times, maybe 6 times a year on the big holidays type of deal versus now I can go out on a Wednesday and there's nobody in the dunes. You have the whole place to yourself, just about. So it's a whole different environment.
I kind of compare it. I have a friend that grew up in Yuma, and when I asked him a few years ago, I'm like, hey man, like growing up in Yuma, that had to be awesome. Like you're right there by the dunes. He's like, dude, we got so sick of the dunes. Like we didn't want to ride there.
Yeah, it's just like anywhere else. We have a couple days of rain a year. It's the rain isn't bad. Dunes are created by wind, so it gets windy. So it's kind of. But for me, I've been here for 3-4 years now. I don't know exactly how long. It's still not old for me. I don't get to get away and go out and ride as much as I would like, but that's mainly because my bikes are always broke, because when they're running, I go ride them and break them. But I don't make it out there riding as much. But the difference from what I think from Glamis and Dumont or Oregon that I feel is, I can go out in my truck and drive around Pismo all day long and not have any issues and have almost as much fun. You can take a Jeep out there, and it's so much easier to navigate, and it's kind of like a simpler dunes in comparison to those other places.
You can get lost at Glamis really fast. Anything Imperial Sand Dunes, you can. If you don't know what you're doing, which a lot of the newer side-by-side crowd do not know what they're doing.
Yep.
You can get lost really fast. You can get hurt really fast. And everyone says, well, ride with a buddy. Well, sometimes everyone in a group is unexperienced and doesn't have a sense of direction and stuff like that. So
yeah. So I actually just helped a guy out in the dunes last week, and he told me where he was at, and I went to that location, and he wasn't there. And then I went to where I thought he might have been, and he wasn't there. And I went to another spot, and he wasn't there. And he's trying to describe to me, and I'm like, dude, I've covered all those areas that you're telling me where you should be at. And it was foggy. Sun was going down. He got turned around 180 degrees and was against a back fence when he thought he was against the front fence. And so he was as far back as he could get. So, I mean, that took a bit. See, I mean, you can still get lost, especially when it gets foggy. But for the most part, when it comes to Pismo, like, just go straight. Eventually, if you go straight, you're going to run into a fence. And the
Fence
area
or
is,
the ocean.
yeah, the area is not that big. Follow that fence, and you're going to find your way out. I mean, it's not that big of an area, and the dunes are fairly easy to navigate. So if you're going up dunes, up steep dunes, I should say, you're going towards the ocean. If you're going down the steep dunes, if you're going up the dunes, you're going towards the ocean. If you're going down them, you're going away from the ocean. And then if you just kind of have like rolling, like just kind of wavy hills, then you're probably going north or south. So it's got a really simplified layout, I think, from what Glamis or Dumont or Oregon is. It's just a little easier to navigate. It's a little smaller. I think it's just as fun because of those layouts. It makes it a lot safer. I can ride faster and harder than I can at the other places because the layout and the pretty much directional dunes.
Yeah.
You know where you're going to get drop-offs and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I've never been, so I mean that's really what I wanted to for people. We have some people listening from Oklahoma, we have some people listening from Glamis, and I just kind of wanted people to get a feel too for what it's like out there compared to Oklahoma, compared to Glamis, compared to some of those other places, because I know it's a different atmosphere, different shape of dunes. Like you said, you can judge where the drop-offs are from what direction you're riding. Really quick, let's go through, and you've got some listeners from Pismo Dune Riders. Let's go through and let's say hi to everyone before we kind of get into our next topics. So I'm going to go back to the beginning, and you kind of yell. If Ryan Myers, I think that's a Pismo Dune guy.
With 20,000 people, I can tell you I don't know them all. That's for sure. I do notice. I got a buddy, Brent. He's listening. I know him. We rode three-wheelers together years and years. I think we've been to Glamis together. We've been out to Dumont together. I was really big into the three-wheelers back in the day. And so I noticed a couple three-wheeler guys pop up here we're watching.
Let's see. Jordan Lewis, Jim Justice, what's going on? Chris Fisher, Michael Danger Gonzalez, Billy Jarvis, what's going on, Billy? Dave Karbinski. Dave does the Glamis Black Bag project at Glamis. I don't know if you've seen anything about that.
Yeah, those guys are doing good stuff. They're doing real good stuff down there.
Absolutely. Daryl Townsend, Jennifer King says, I remember meeting Nick out there and bugging me.
She worked in the dunes, and there's one trailer that sells like apparel and stuff like that. And the first time I went in there, it was so windy. And we just needed like a bolt or a battery for a bike or something. And it wasn't windy in there. And me and my buddy had taken a day trip. So me and my friend Louis Sandoval, we hung out in that trailer all day long just to get away from the wind. And I think me and Jennifer, we probably became friends for life since then. She's a real good person. She since moved away from the dunes, but she still, I think, pays attention to what's going on here.
Matt Lois. Chad Banks from Oklahoma. Let's see, Jenny Karbinski, that's Dave's wife. And Greg Peterson's from Utah. Thanks for tuning in, Greg. And let's see, and Ben McClellan and Russell Harris.
Russell's a buddy of mine. So is Carlos.
Okay.
I'm into sand drags now. Those are both sand drag guys.
Joe Palm. Morgan Bells from Kansas, all the way from Kansas. Karen, I don't know how to say your last name, Karen, but hello.
Karen
Lindy.
Sudi. Karen
Yep.
Sudi she's a very important person with the Dunes. Her husband is the president of the Friends of Oceano Dunes.
Well, let's just start there then. Let's just go into that.
Okay.
On to the next topic. Let's talk about the issues going on with Oceano Dunes right now.
So to start, there's two big issues. The first one I think would be the snowy plover. It's not just the snowy plover. There's 4 endangered species within the area of the park. But the snowy plover is kind of the one that's in the forefront of things because it's a little tiny bird. It runs around on the beach and literally we kind of drive amongst it. It's searching for stuff to eat in the sand and stuff like that. So I don't know how long it is because when it actually comes to the fight of keeping the dunes open, I'm fairly new within the last probably 4 or 5 years. And so I don't know when it happened, but at some point in time, they close off a section of the beach during the summertime. It's called the plover exclusion, snowy plover. But basically, they take a couple hundred acres, fence it off, and it's camping area basically where it's along the beach line and it's for those birds to nest during the summer months, which is really bad for us off-roaders because now we're taking our peak time, which is the summer, because you got to remember Pismo's a beach. So weather's perfect in the summer. You got water, you got surf. So they close off this area for the birds to nest. Now, I think most people can kind of understand the logic. It doesn't mean we like it, though. I for one, think there's probably better ways to take care of that. Karen just popped in here, 300 acres from March to September. So, and when you're dealing with an area that has 1,500 acres of riding, that's a good percentage of it. That's huge.
Yeah, substantial, definitely.
Yeah, and it's area that we would camp. Now, the good thing is it's not prime riding area. It's not the big hills. So in that sense, it's good, but it really confines the camping during the summer and makes it kind of cramped at times on big holiday weekends during the summer camping. So, but that's one of the issues. So we deal with
cramped. To me, kind of, you said cramped. When I think of the word cramped in a camping confines, that to me means dangerous.
I don't think it's dangerous because technically on the beach it's a 15-mile-an-hour speed limit. Now if people were able to rip down the beach, then yeah, it would be very dangerous. But people, they camp in their little horseshoes or circles, and they put kids' tracks in the center and stuff like that. So I still think it's safe out in the dunes when it's packed. If you're on a quad or something, it can get sketchy. And as side-by-sides kind of get more popular and better suspension and they go faster, it does get sketchy. But I don't classify it. I wouldn't personally classify it as dangerous. You just like anything off-roading, you got to use your head.
Yeah. And when I think of like cramped, I mean, the washes at Glamis on a holiday weekend, same thing, 15 miles per hour, but it's still, you got to be careful.
I've only I haven't camped in the washes. I've camped on Gecko, and I would say it's the same like confinement kind of that, everybody wants right off the road. So yeah, it's kind of the same type of deal. The beach is our road to come in and out. That's where you can drive. That's hard packed sand. So you have a several mile section that you can basically pull away from the ocean and set up your camping area. So it gets, if you show up on a holiday weekend on a Saturday or a Sunday, and people have been showing up since Thursday, you're going to have to get way far away from the ocean. If you have a motorhome, it's going to be difficult, if not nearly impossible, to get, far enough away to really get a spot to camp. So So that's the bummer about the snowy plover exclosure. You know, when we have New Year's or Thanksgiving, it's even though it's the same amount of people there, it seems a lot better because people are spread out another, I don't know, mile and a half
Yeah.
of area that's camping, and it allows everybody to stretch their legs a lot more. The other issue is the dust. So there's a lot of kind of technical stuff when it comes into the dust issue dealing with the dunes. To cut it short, downwind of the dunes, up on a hill, they bulldozed a bunch of eucalyptus trees. They built several golf courses with $1 million homes on them. And now those people that have moved into those homes are complaining that the off-roaders are kicking up dust that is then being blown on their houses and basically making their air that they're breathing toxic. So that's kind of the current issue. That's more in the forefront right now than anything else is dealing with this dust and figuring out how do we fight it. And we have a bunch of old people, and this is the probably nicest way I can put it, that are retired and have more time than brains to go to every meeting and fight it. You know, and they get up in front of there's two kind of governing bodies, I guess, that oversee. One of them is the San Luis Obispo Air Pollution Control District. The other one is the California Coastal Commission. Both of them are a pain in the ass. The California Coastal Commission is equivalent to the EPA. So they basically do whatever they want, and there's no repercussions for what they do until somebody steps up and files a lawsuit against them.
Oh,
and
geez.
yeah, so it's for them, it's just about take. We don't care about off-roading. They're killing these old people. Not looking at any sort of logic or anything. We refer to those people as the red shirts. They show up to these meetings all wearing red, and it's like a geriatrics mafia. You know, they're very aggressive. They say whatever they want. They lie. There's no repercussions for what they say. And it's just a bunch of BS that they spit. Now, that's the hard part is if I could go in front of the Coastal Commission and rebuttal everything that one of these people say, basically we could show they're lying about everything. But just as they have 2 minutes to talk, I have 2 minutes. So I have to decide what is the best way to spend my 2 minutes that I have in front of the Coastal Commission.
Jordan Lewis said, and this is something I've seen too, and local news embeds themselves with them. I've seen people post on Pismo Dune Riders. The media does not help your guys' situation, your guys' issues at all.
Yeah, that's no doubt about it. Just like with the rest of the country, the media has a liberal bias. I have met with some of the local news since I've been involved and since I've had the page, and I think they've been very fair. You can tell kind of the spin they're going to put on things. So you pick and choose how you answer things, and you really kind of got to be smart and tactful in what you say when you're getting interviewed by them. But I have a lady that's at one of the local newspapers that I can go to and talk to, and I think she'll at least put forth an honest article, not a biased one towards the off-road. Now, they do publish stuff that is biased against off-roaders. But if I came up with something to present to them and said, hey, you need to publish this, and it was decent, I think some of them would. We just don't have that organization as off-roaders. That's I think the biggest problem.
Now, how can people help? How can people kind of help with that organization? You're only one person. You can only do so much.
So for me, I don't have a big house. I don't have a fancy car. I don't have money. I like the dunes. I got a 99 Chevy pickup and I got a bunch of three-wheelers. And And so for me, is what I can do at this point in my life is I have time. So I go to these meetings when I can go to the meetings. I get informed about what's going on. I try and talk to the opposition as much as I can, within reason. I met with a week or two ago with a guy. His name's Jimmy Pudding. He's running for the San Luis Obispo Board of Supervisors. He's not off-road friendly, but I sat down. We met. We talked, and was it productive? I don't think we changed each other's minds in anything, but that was something I was able to do, was at least show him kind of where we're coming from with stuff. And so that's what I do, is I go to meetings, I stay informed, I try and talk to people that hopefully we can talk some reason. You built a house downwind of sand. Like, what do you expect? I mean, let's put some logic into this thing. Like, it doesn't take a rocket scientist. If wind's going to blow and you put a house downwind and you put dunes between the two, chances are you're going to get blowing wind into it. So their solution for all this is to vegetate the dunes. So right now, they're just going in there with tons and tons of seeds and just planting the hell out of the dunes. And that's, in my opinion, one of the worst things they can do, because they're literally killing the dunes, and there's no way to remove the vegetation. Even if they decide they want to, there's no way to do it. So that's kind of what's going on right now, is they're trying to fight that dust. They're doing it with vegetation, and vegetation's probably one of the worst ways to do it, because it's irreversible. Other people that have money or ability, donating to the Friends of Oceano. I mean, they have a huge budget. They file a lot of lawsuits. I think they have 8 current lawsuits going on. They tie a lot of stuff up in court. They have been very successful in winning. They do a good job for the dunes. And right now they're kind of the only ones stepping up to the plate. Cal 4-Wheel Drive donated 10 grand on Thanksgiving to them, but for the most part, most of those organizations that everybody thinks is helping, whether it be the AMA or BRC, stuff like that, ASA, they have had no assistance by really any of those in support of keeping the Oceano dunes open. So that's one thing with the followers here. Let's maybe try and get the ASA. Let's try and get them involved.
Yeah, and we kind of talked about that on the phone. You kind of said the ASA isn't so much the ASA as it is they've got their hands so full with what's going on with Imperial Sand Dunes on that side of things, that they don't really lend a hand towards what's going on with you guys at the Oceano Dunes.
Yeah, I mean, I joke around with people, and it's a little bit serious, but it's not the American Sand Association. It's the Glamis Sand Association. That's what they fight for. That's where they're centered. That's where they're located. But the problem is we have a lot of Pismo people that donate to the ASA and think that they're donating to help keep Pismo open, and we aren't getting the support that we need there. And so I don't want to get into it because I don't know the specifics of it, but there's some sort of rift between the ASA and the Friends of Oceano Dunes, and it stems back from a long time ago. And so my thing is, okay, we don't have to like each other, but let's work together. If the ASA can take the lead on something and take one direction, whether it be snowy plovers, because they've had success with dealing with endangered species before, like, hey, let's let them take that ball and run with it a little bit, maybe, and let Friends do kind of their thing with the dust issue or whatever it may be. I don't know all the answers, but I would, if I got to be a mediator, I'd love to get the two to sit down and let's come up with a good game plan.
Yeah, and that's something too. I mean, I'm not bashing on the ASA. I'm not bashing on Friends of the Oceano Dunes, but I think we're at a time where politics and the media have such a hard time getting along with normal people, I guess. I don't know if that's worded the right way, but I consider us normal people, and we don't necessarily get along all the time with politicians, with people in the media. And it's these groups, ASA, or the Glamis Sand Association, and Friends of Oceano Dunes, those two groups need to get together, not fight against each other. Because, the more they fight against each other, or the more that, Glamis people fight against Pismo people, we're all doing the same thing. We're all playing the same sport. We're all out there enjoying things with our family. We got to get together on stuff like this.
Here's what my biggest concern is, and this is why I think the ASA should get involved with Pismo. Once they close Pismo down because of this dust issue, the Sierra Club's moving right to Glamis. They're going to use the exact same studies, the exact same things there, because I can guarantee you they're going to have the same problems. They're going to find the same thing. It's dunes, it's wind, they're going to move that fight there. So we need to fight it at the forefront here and get it stopped so they can't continue to use that. So that's all I kind of really have to say about, the ASA and the Friends of Oceano. I want people to know kind of where things are going. It's all off-roaders. We all do need to work together. And we all need to help each other. And, when we have a meeting April 30th coming up with the Air Pollution Control District. So if you're available, anybody that's watching, come on up. It's going to be in San Luis Obispo. And help us. If you got to talk to me so you know what to say, talk to me. But, before these meetings, we will have some emails, addresses to send emails. And it was strongly mentioned before this last meeting. I think it's kind of the first time, at least recently, that we've had a very strong email response on everything. And we kind of flooded these guys. I think they said it was over 150 emails. Out of 20,000 members, it's not a lot. I'd like to see that number at 1,000 at least. But it was enough that those APCD board members, they saw those emails and they were talking about them, when they were asking their questions. It was very noticed by them. So that's huge, is just letting them know that, we have the numbers. We need better organization. The red shirts, even though the drive was 14 miles, they took a bus to this meeting. So that's the type of organization we're kind of going against. And I said it before, if I need to get a bus, we'll get a bus. I got people that'll pay for a bus to wherever we need to get them from. Like, I have people that will support us in that type of stuff. Friends of Oceano would help with that type of stuff. But at this point, we haven't had the people showing up to the meetings. I mean, there was a meeting I was at, a year ago, I think. I think it was maybe a year and a half ago. California Coastal Commission. Literally, I was the only off-road person there. And I was outnumbered by 30 red shirts. So that's difficult. And the other thing about these meetings that's hard for me is these people are calling you murderers and all kinds of BS like that, and so it's emotionally draining listening to all the stuff they're saying for a whole day. But, we got to fight to keep this stuff open. That's the shame in it all, is really don't have a choice. If we want to ride, we're going to have to.
And I want to bounce back to what Karen said. She said there is no rift. There is no rift. The ASA made it clear when they formed that they were only taking care of Glamis and didn't care what happened at Pismo. That's why Friends of Oceano, Friends of Dumont, Friends of Sand Mountain were formed. Okay, making that a little more clear.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah. And, it's the Friends, is it one of those things where how many members are the Friends of the Oceano Dunes?
I when they go up and they talk in front of the meetings, I think they mentioned 25, 30,000 members. And that's where I feel like a group like mine, we got 20,000 members. We'll be 3 years old in June 22nd, I believe. So when I feel like using the social media, which Friends has kind of been lacking with their social media presence. Now they have reasons for that, but I feel like getting information out there using the group like I have, that's really what I want to do. I want to get these email addresses out there. I want to really start working with people on what to put in the emails, so hopefully they'll start listening to the facts a little better. So that's what I want to be able to do with my group is just kind of get a little more organization. In my mind, it's let Friends of Oceano do the lawsuits. They're doing awesome at that. They need the money. So, if you can put $20 out of a paycheck to them, awesome, let's do that. But almost like the members of my group is like the boots on the ground type of people. Like let's really organize showing up to these meetings and doing that stuff. And the Friends have been awesome at the lawsuit, so let them do the lawsuit thing, and we'll take guidance from them and all work together. I think that's the biggest thing is with the ASA Friends, my group, everything is getting everybody just on the same page.
Yeah, and I feel like that's very important too. I like what you said. Let them kind of do their thing. Let them handle the donations and the money side of things while, you can be the driving force, or Pismo Dune Riders can be the driving force between, saying this is how many people that we have. This is, how many people are involved. This is how many people want to see the same result. This is, we're all behind the Friends of Oceano Dunes.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the biggest thing is supporting what they do. And I think I kind of understand why they operate the way they do. They're very kind of secretive. A lot of people don't like that. And I shouldn't say secretive. It's just they're dealing with high profile lawsuits. So they don't want their basically plan of attack, their playbook to be put out there so the opposition can see it. So yeah. I can't knock what they do or how they do it. They have their reasons, and they're very good reasons. And, I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not going to tell them anything otherwise. But to be able to work with them to, kind of put the numbers out there in force is what, I'd really like to be able to do.
Well, thanks for kind of sharing those things. For anyone listening, anyone watching, if you have questions for Nick on some of the topics that we kind of covered in the last 30, 40 minutes, let's get him out there. Let's ask him right now. One of the things that Nick, when we were talking over text today, he wanted to kind of talk about was, and I want to take this away from, I want to lighten this up a little bit. You talked today about, for someone that's never been to Pismo or Oceano, plan of attack, how to get there, what to bring. So let's use me as an example. I'm in the Phoenix area, so if I'm coming to Pismo, I'm at least a 12-hour drive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What am I preparing for? What am I? I've got a 40-foot toy hauler, high tide, low tide.
So okay, I'm just gonna kind of give you a quick rundown. You're camping, first of all. It's dry camping, no hookups.
Yeah.
There are campgrounds you can stay, but you have to haul your bike to and fro. So, it's not impossible to do, but for the most part, people that off-road, they camp out in the sand. So we're right on the beach in California. During the summer, don't forget sweatshirts, or you're going to be buying them. It's at night, it gets chilly. You're on the beach, cold breezes. You got to have four-wheel drive. Now, if you got some buddies with four-wheel drives, get some tow straps. There's a company here locally, Freedom Ropes. They sell, I don't think they sell them on the beach, but, there are places to get ropes before you come if you need to. Yo Banana Boys on the beach. They have a trailer. They have, you know, kind of the essentials when it comes to just having a shop. But before you get stuck, air down. I would, the biggest thing with Pismo is air down, air down, air down. Air down the truck, air down the trailer. You want to look at the bulge of the bottom of the tire. So some trucks airing down to 30 pounds is enough. Some of the big diesel motorhomes, some big trucks with the softer sidewall, you know, like that'll be enough. Other trucks, a half-ton pickup that's pretty light, you know, you're going to have to go down to 7 pounds. I wouldn't focus on the pressure as much as the look of the tire. It's got a bulge, and do that before you get stuck, because once you're stuck, you can't see it, you're going to guess, and then you're already stuck or spinning. But every vehicle kind of varies. I would say on average, you're probably looking at somewhere between 20 and 12 PSI. You know, if you got a diesel, it's you can go a little higher. If you're, you know, like I said, in a half-ton pickup or like an S10 or something, it's going to be, you know, lower. Jeeps with big tires are really tough because they're so light, and generally they have truck tires on them. So, I mean, my Jeep, I run at 4 pounds out there. So every vehicle that you're going to air down is going to be different. Look at the tide charts before you go. Usually it is decent to drive in and out about an hour and a half after high tide. And you're good probably till about 3 hours before the next high tide. So there's a pretty big span of generally when it's going to be good to drive in and out. And coming in, especially your first time, watch that tide. It's going to make your life a lot easier. At a full low tide, like, you'll be able to turn around on the beach. But at high tide, you're just, it's unless you really know what you're doing, you're probably going to struggle a bit. Like I said, four-wheel drive's a big one. Pay attention to where the tide's at when you show up. Because if you show up at low tide and you see this like line of trailers along the beach, and you're like, hey, there's a lot of room between the water and the trailers, chances are they're at the high tide line, and you're going to be getting wet when that tide comes up. So the tide can vary a lot. I mean, it could be 100-foot difference, you know, if not more at times. So look at where the tide's at, and like, you know, the tides are off number, so you can kind of take a guesstimate on, you know, okay, you know, generally speaking, there's going to be something to go off of, and you know, kind of where to park. So that's kind of the big ones I would say is come in at low tide, make sure you air down your trailer tires, unhook your trailer brakes, because this happens to a lot of guys. They come to a stop, they start slowly pushing their brakes, trailer's locked up, and it's dragging, and that trailer's dug down. Then when they try and take off, they can't. So that's kind of a tricky one, because technically you got to have trailer lights as you're driving on the beach. All, you know, road laws apply on the beach, but I'd rather not be stuck. But so just something to think about. You know, people don't realize that, you know, their trailer brakes are gonna drag. And just get far enough away from the water. It's very common out there to put up wood stakes with some caution tape or some sort of fencing to kind of line their camp, kind of mark off your area. It's a big problem I have on the page. People bitching about, sorry, I don't know if bitching I can
Go
say,
for it,
but
buddy. Go
yeah.
for it.
So people bitching about like, oh, this person camped off a couple acres and like they camped on top. Well, if you don't put up stakes, people are going to camp right on top of you. If you put up too much, people are going to bitch because you took up too much area. So, you know, bring enough stakes and enough caution tape to give yourself an area that is respectable, but you know, enough to be comfortable. That, you know, and then, you know, people make these berm tracks in the middle of their camps. Like, you can ride right there. It's fun. It's different. So trying to think if there's really anything else. I already went over kind of the directional dunes. Drop offs going away from the beach, uphill coming towards the beach. It's the dunes themselves. I saw one of the questions. The dunes themselves are small in comparison to Glamis or Dumont, but because the area is very consistent in the way it's laid out, it's easy to ride. You can ride fast. You can kind of haul ass once you figure out the layout of the dunes. And have a good time. There are big trash cans as you leave the park off to the right. You can throw your stuff away there, and they really got a nice setup. You're camping literally right on the water, so it's a different experience because nowhere else are you camping on the ocean. Like we have jet skiers there. There's two big jet ski rides, one in the fall and one in the spring. It's called the Pismo Free Ride. These guys camp in our off-road area, and they wheel their jet skis like right in front of where you're driving out to the ocean, and they go do backflips off the waves and stuff. It's pretty bad. Like it's badass. Like I personally am afraid of sharks. Never been in the ocean, not going. But to watch these guys, like, I mean, dude, they're off-roaders just in water. Like it's the same skills. It's the same, kind of mental, screw loose in their head that we got, So like that's like the biggest difference. Like people go fish, people, out in the ocean, like, hey, you can go catch your dinner right there. Some people are making some comments here, like, one
of the ones that Ginger just said something. Ginger said, follow rules and be respectful because people trying to close the park video a lot and use it against us, like playing in the creek has been used against us a lot.
Yeah, so the creek, so when you come in, this goes back to going to the park the first time, there's a creek you have to cross. That creek can be anywhere from non-existent to 5 feet deep. So if you've never been there before and there is a creek, watch someone else cross it, and then generally it's just fine. It's just during high tide sometimes it gets really bad. But I forgot my dang train of thought. So you get these big 4 or 5 foot banks on the side of the creeks, and guys like to drive their trucks up and down them, and they take videos. The red shirts take videos, and they show them at the Coastal Commission meeting. They show them at the APCD meetings, and it's always look at what these guys are doing. They're destroying the sound, and it's like, come on, like it's a sand creek. Literally, the second the water or the high tide comes in, it's washing the tracks they made out. But it's an issue we have. It's an issue we have. When they open up the snowy plover exclusion area, there's vegetation, little vegetation hill things, and people drive over them, and they're always bitching about, oh, look at them, they're driving over these plants, they're killing them, and it's like, whatever. But it's good to know, like, hey, don't drive over the vegetation. Don't play on the bank of the creek. Just get out to the dunes and go climb some big, some hills and stuff. Renee just mentioned, on basically any weekend during the summer, you have to get reservations. The website is Reserve California. It's a pain in the ass to navigate the website. Do it from a computer, not from a phone. It don't work from a phone, or call. But you got to get reservations. They open up 6 months ahead of time. That's how you get there. It's per vehicle, driving onto the beach. So if you tow a Jeep, you're getting an overnight pass for the vehicle towing and the one being towed.
Okay. Anthony says, what about the crazy Italian lady?
Lucia. So at all these meetings, there's this little lady. She's something else. She's a ball of energy. And probably like if I was to see her, you know, at an art gallery drinking wine or some shit, whatever they do, like probably would be a hilarious person. But she gets up in front of these people and she starts yelling and screaming and has an Italian accent. She's just nuttier than a fruitcake. And she just like goes off on us and hates us and all these videos. It's ridiculous. But that's the people we're fighting.
Karen says,
Yeah.
my favorite red shirt.
Yeah. She's like, you want to hate her because she's so against us, but then you listen to what she says and she's so ridiculous and she has such a like personality behind her. You're just like, oh my God, like how does this lady survive in life? The Coastal Commission, she was up there like singing opera to these people because they like screwed up her video presentation or something. It was pretty. It was interesting.
We definitely need some live videos of her.
Oh, I can get you some. We can pull, because I think all the Coastal Commission stuff, it's hard to find, but it's definitely out there. And you know, honestly, what bugs me about someone like that is she gets up there and she wants to sing, and the Coastal Commission lets her sing and do her thing. And then I get up there and I say something and people start booing, and then I got to tell them to shut the heck up. And meanwhile, I just lost 30 seconds because these people are mad at me. Meanwhile, she can go up there and sing for 10 minutes before her time starts. That's the problem. Like, most of these meetings are made to satisfy the Brown Act, which means that, you know, public opinion on public matters like that. So, but we don't get a fair representation most of the time. And that's the hard part, is sitting through it and just seeing kind of the, sitting through some of that that is obviously biased towards them.
I think some of these comments are taking a turn right here.
Okay, so the secondhand sand thing, the last meeting we had, there's a guy, I think his name is Mike Gomes, goes up there and he finished his speech saying, if secondhand sand is a thing, I'm going to die on the beach in my lawn chair with a cigar in one hand and a vodka in the other. And some people saw that, and like the whole now secondhand sand thing is taken off. Yeah, so I mean, it's I hope it doesn't take off with the red shirts also, because we already know they love secondhand smoke and to use that to close down parks or whatever, all that shit. So I'll be honest, like it's hilarious and I like it, but I don't know that it's necessarily a good thing to be out there running with, but we'll see. I mean, there's just something, like, you can't try and fight everything. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
You know, and it's hilarious. People like it. So if it brings awareness to the dunes and what's going on, like, I support it, you know?
Absolutely. Well, we're almost at an hour here, Nick. Is there anything else right now that your page, Pismo Dune Riders, Dirty Duner listeners, Glamis listeners, anything else that you want to get out there? We'll also include some stuff in the in the actual post. I'll edit it in there. But is there anything else right now that you want to get out there?
Oh man, I could talk forever. I'm sure, as you've seen here, like you know, when it comes to Pismo, if you've never been, I think it's worth a trip. I believe personally, it's a lot more family friendly than some of the other dune destinations. It's also on the beach, so it offers something so different. And if you may not realize this or know this, but you know, back in the 70s, this was the off-road mecca of the country. And in 83, they cut down maybe 90% of the area to ride in, and that covered all the big hills. There's still big hills out there. I've walked to them. You can still walk out in some of those dunes. There's areas that's adjacent to the dunes that, you know, the parks are kind of trying to get and figure out how they could open up or this and that. But this was the off-road like mecca. Like it was where people went because of what it has to offer, and it's lost that because the area is so small. So let's try and get together and get some momentum and turn it into what it was. You know, somebody just mentioned in the comment, Devil Slide, like it's apparently an epic tall dune. I walked down and saw it, and I think it would be fun to climb, but at this point, never going to have that opportunity. I don't think it's impossible. I know some of the stuff that's going on behind the scenes, and there's a lot that's going on behind the scenes, and there's a lot that happens. There's a lot of people that come to me with information, and I try and do what I can with it. So if you got any ideas on anything, whether it's ways to raise money or raise awareness, like, talk to me, guys. We all want more area. Pismo used to be, before that 83 closure, the baddest spot there was. And, now it's just a speck of what it was. It doesn't mean it's not good. It's different.
Yeah.
So if we can get some area open back up, man, I think it would be the big destination. While Glamis is 120 degrees, Pismo's 65. we don't have a riding season. It's 65 year round.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we can go out riding in the summer or the winter, as long as it's not raining. It's nice.
Well, I appreciate you getting on, you kind of bringing this to light. I know when we first talked about this, you were a little bit unsure about it. You're kind of like, well, what it's going to accomplish. But I hope that this live video is something that you guys can use on Pismo Dune Riders, that you can use to kind of look back and, see how we can help. And I guarantee this will not be the first time we do a live video. This won't be the first time we do something like this. I hope it's not, because something I want to get involved in is everything you've been talking about.
Yeah, and so I think, like I said, there's so much more that I'd like to say, but it kind of, at this point, it's like, let's save that for another time. So as your show grows, we can, kind of keep the information out there and growing the information, and, what we put out there also at the same time. I know some people probably haven't watched the whole thing, so let's jump back. And Friends of Oceano is the biggest supporter in keeping it open. And if you guys can, pay attention through there, join the Pismo Dune Riders page, and I'm gonna do my best to keep the information coming out there as good as we can. The APCD, Air Pollution Control District meeting, is coming up April 30th. I believe I'm going to be there. I would be surprised if I'm not, but so if you're interested in going and can make it, then that's awesome. If you can't, send an email. I don't care if all your email says is, I support anything Friends of Oceano says, or anything Nick says, or any, just say you support off-roading. That's all you got to say. We don't want to lose area. That's the frustrating part. You don't have to be elaborate. Just send the email from every email address you got. Send one from your work one, and from your bank one, and from, I don't care. Go back, log into your school run from 20 years ago. Send the emails in. They're seeing them. So.
Well, all right, man. I got one quick and dirty question for you. But before we go into the quick and dirty questions, let's try something new here. Hold on. Give me 1 second. Hold on. I've never tried this before, so I don't know if it's going to work. So, I look like Gandalf.
Facial hair,
I look like Gandalf. Yes.
I usually am clean shaven, but I got lazy this last week.
I don't know if I can. Oh, dude, do you see that? It sparkles.
It's sparkling. Yeah, you're dropping glitter. Stripper glitter flying everywhere. Don't let your wife see.
Oh, man, it's making noises, too. I don't know if I'm going to ask this question. For someone like yourself, okay, hold on, I got to think about this now, because it's twinkling in my ear, and I can't concentrate.
I can't hear the twinkling, so just ignore it.
For someone like yourself, ATC rider, midlife crisis, Are you the baddest ass? There we go. Is that a three-wheeler or four-wheeler?
Oh, it's a three-wheeler. Let me see. There's I have a Banshee right there, and then there's my three-wheeler.
Oh, geez. That's beautiful. I can't even ask this question. I can't
No,
even.
you gotta
Are you a
ask.
hippie?
No, you gotta.
Are you a hippie?
Am I a hippie? What? Because I
Yeah.
live on the beach and I don't have a job and I like three-wheelers? So, in dead honesty, my friends joke around about it all the time. Because you're a pharaoh now. That's awesome. Oh my gosh.
I don't know what I'm doing here.
It's awesome though, man. Your eyebrows are on point. Like those girls at the club would be so jealous. Oh, you got the beach stuff going on. Got some
Pismo right here, Oceano
starfish?
Dunes. Yeah.
Awesome.
I don't even know what I'm doing here.
Am I a hippie, man? Nah, anybody that knows me knows I'm not. I don't smoke weed. I don't even really drink or anything. But I love the three-wheelers and I love the beach. So I think if that means I'm a hippie, then then maybe. So can I tell you something?
Let's do this.
Maybe I already told you, texting you. I was gonna last week. I was pretty bored, and I was gonna listen to one of your podcasts, and I pressed play, and then I'm like, no, I'm not, because I don't know like the direction your shows go, and I just wanted to like go with the flow and not like have a preconceived like direction that it might take or something. So I've actually never listened to one of your shows. So.
Well, this stuff right here, this is a first, by the way. This is all you. I like this one the best. So
I do too. I can still see your eyes that way, and I feel like we have a connection. Oh man, what about anybody ever ask you some quick and dirty questions?
Every once in a while. I don't know.
Oh, okay. If I was going to be a first, I'd ask you some, like what do you like on your hot dogs? Is that a quick and dirty type question?
Sure. Ketchup and mustard, relish, onions. I keep it simple.
Okay. Nothing too elaborate.
If you were any animal, what could you be?
Oh, if I was any animal. Not a horse. If anybody knows me, I'm terrified of horses. A complete unrealistic fear, phobia. It's called Europhobia. Definitely have that. Like these crazy people walk horses, like ride them down the beach, and like I'm in my truck and I go into a panic attack. And it's everything I can do to not run the horse over with my truck. So not a horse. I'm not a big cat fan. But I think I'd be something like kind of maybe like a emu or ostrich or something like that. Like I just. Yeah, dude, those legs running, a bird that can't fly, like that's something that would freaking fit me. Like, I don't know.
I think we need to end this thing while we're ahead.
Oh man, no, it's been good though. It's been fun.
I appreciate you coming on, man. It's been fun. I'll text you in a few minutes here, kind of get some info that I can put in the description for this, so we can make sure that people are kind of staying informed.
Yeah, no, it'd be awesome. I'm gonna try and find you that video of Lucia, and you can have some fun with that. I'm sure. Oh, I'm sure. Oh my gosh. Hey, Anthony, go on the California Coastal Commission site and pull it up. One of you guys that was there, like I think you can look up the old meeting, so it should still be there. It was the meeting last November, I think. Oh my God, she started singing opera, and it was just yeah. So, anyways, we'll get that for you, and we'll see what the listeners have to say about that one.
All right. Well, thanks, Nick. Hope you have a good night. And April 30th, the next meeting, I'll post about that as well. So
we'll have a list of email addresses, guys. We'll have a list of email addresses. So let's get them out there.
All right. Thanks, man.
No problem. Can't wait for the next one.